that this was the first kinyan, the first acquisition of the Hebrews, or the Hebrew people, represented by Avram Avinu, in the land of Israel. And you would think, if we're buying property, you bought a shopping center, he bought a two-building condominium, he bought what did he buy? He bought a cave for burial. Yes. And he spent a lot of money. Yes. So no houses, no shopping center. And we studied this yesterday in the oral Torah behind the scene. Hevron, which some of you know, the shoresh, the root of the word Hevron is chaver, chibur, friend, connection. As we stated yesterday, in the name of the Zohar, Hevron is the entrance to Gan Eden. So Avram Avinu, in spite of the fact that he's so wealthy and he has so much money, we don't see any purchases of lands, no homes, but he gets to Hevron. He wants to buy a burial place for his wife, and he uses what to buy? He uses money. No gift. He's obstinate. He's stubborn. It has to be a kinyan. We asked ourselves briefly yesterday, why should it be a kinyan? Why not accept it as a matana, as a gift? And one of you said correctly, well, this is proof that it's ours. Someone that gave you as a gift, maybe gave you the gift for 1 year, for 1 generation, for 1 century. When we open up Rambam and learn the conclusions of the Gemara in the laws of kinyanim, the laws of acquisitions, we ask ourselves, do you see the guy sitting next to you? Do you know what he bought the other day? He bought a very holy book. When you make an acquisition, what are you revealing? I heard this idea from Rav Kashtiel and Eli. What are you revealing when you're making an acquisition? Your aspirations, your desires, what you really want. A person buys what he desires, what he wants to have. And therefore, we now learn what are the order of priorities of a man like Avram Avinu at this stage of life. And here it is. And the Torah is so detailed, right? Unusual, the back and forth, the negotiation. That's not the way of the Torah, is it? The Torah teaches us so many laws from a letter, from a word, right? The Torah is very concise, very limited, very short. So here, we're learning about the purchase of Hevron. You see the gentleman sitting next to me? He made a comparative relationship between Hevron and other cities of the land of Israel. And do you know what he discovered? That Hevron is called in our sages the psolet of the land of Israel, the waste, meaning garbage. Well, it's the lowest level of land. Why is it the psolet? Anyone that travels in Hevron sees the stones, the hills, the difficult topographic matters of Hevron. In other words, you can't cultivate land in Hevron. And you know what's good about it? You can develop grave places, grave sites. You can dig caves into the stones. And that's the first purchase? Yes. The purchase of Marat Machpelah for the burial of Sarah, but the burial of forefathers and matriarchs during the time. And do you remember when we're about to go into the land of Israel before the sin of the spies, the time that the spies arrive, do spies go into Hevron? Yes. Okay. And some of them are petrified. Because who did they see living in Hevron? Who remember?
People.
Who?
Gigantic people.
Gigantic people. 4 Anakim. Can you repeat that word?
Anakim.
Shishai, Talmai, Achiman, and one more.
Not Anak?
These are Anakim, giants. Yes.
And Zuzamim, something?
Zuzim, that's someone else. Hevron, you would not consider it on an economic graph a city that has great economic value. And therefore, the spies didn't want to go in. But you know what? All this, the fact that it's not good for cultivating fields and that there are giants living there, that's only on the outside. The shoresh, the root of Hevron is such holy. We said the word chibur, connection, chaver. We're connected together to God in Hevron. We are connected to Gan Eden. And therefore, Hevron becomes the first of the kinyanim of the land of Israel. Okay? Do you remember, not long before, did the nephew of Avram Avinu, Lot, he put his eyes on which towns? Sodom and Amorah. How green it is there, full of fountains and springs. Okay? It's probably the most noted, luxurious towns in all of the country. If you build a house there, have a house in Sodom and Amorah, it's worth a lot. But what kind of worth? Rav Kashtiel explains a very simple dichotomy here. On the outside, it's worth a lot. Plush, greeny, lovely homes. But on the inside, the people in Sodom and Amorah, they're rotten. They're polluted. They're contaminated with terrible character traits, with evil, egoism. Hevron unites us together. Hevron has special holiness for burial. And therefore, here in Hevron, when you're dealing with burial, I know it's not a nice thing to be dealing with, but it's truth. Do you remember what Chazal call the mitzvah of burying the dead? They call it chesed shel emet. What does the term chesed shel emet mean?
Kindness of the truth?
Yeah, why is it called kindness of truth?
Because it's dead, cannot pay it back.
That's right. I saw some of you Saturday night at the funeral of the rabbi's son, Yedidia, and we paid him our respects. We gave him the last honor. We did the mitzvah of accompanying the dead, and we cannot expect to back in turn because he's passed away, he's been killed. And therefore, Hevron represents chesed shel emet. That's worth much more than Sodom and Amorah with all the plush houses and with all the cultivation. Do you know that the hesped, the eulogy that Avram delivered according to Chazal, they say is the poetry that Shlomo Melech wrote later on, Eshet Chayil Miyimtza. That's what Avraham said at his eulogy there, according to Chazal, meaning a woman of chesed, a woman that's goodness. And maybe it was her idea. As we come to the letter Zayin in that poetry, you all know that it's written according to the Aleph Bet. Are you aware of that? The Eshet Chayil, each line is Aleph Bet Gimel Dalet Hey. We get to the letter Zayin, Zammim Masa Devati Kacheu. She conspired an idea of a field to be bought. It seems, according to that pasuk, that Avram Avinu's purchase of the Machpelah, of that field of Hevron, was initiated by Sarah. That's the chesed of Sarah. And therefore, at the end, when we learned yesterday, what happened to the field? It got its kuma, got an aliyah, came out of the hands of the Chitim, and now it's in the hands of Avram Avinu, which means it's the hands of the nation of Israel. What Avram Avinu buys is belonging to everyone. Thank you. Have a nice day today.